see. How you doing, mate? How you doing, Richard? The usual. Had some technical issues there. I don't know what's going on with this. It's always the same with a live stream. You can count with 2 fingers how many times it's actually gone right when I've scheduled it. How you doing, Hugh? Just wait for another couple of people to join. How you doing, Richard? Are you feeling a bit better? Hiya, Mo. Hi, G. Bennett. All good, mate. Thank you. Hiya, Jackie. Good to have you. Hiya, Nikon. Yeah, it's been a wee while since I've done one of these, obviously. I think it's been about 2 or 3 weeks anyway. It's been quite challenging times recently. I know it has been for everyone, but my character's been tested recently, to say the least. Hiya, Ruth. Hiya, Jaden. Grand Tour, Lorraine. Good stuff, Richard. Yeah, I Richard saying about the trolls. I know, mate. Honestly, I've not been as bad with them recently, but I know how they can obviously bring you down. Hi, Em. Welcome, son. Thank you very much. Hiya, Nutty. How you doing? Yeah, so I posted my last video. I mean, somebody asked me what the title of a live stream that I'd done a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't have one. And I was a wee bit like, I've not got a title, so I'm sometimes a bit reluctant to do these if I've not got anything off the top of my head, like what to talk about. It was obviously all right the first time I done it because I had DWP questions to answer, but that's obviously passed with. And just when you mentioned trolls, Richard, I had one the other week there telling me to keep going with DWP stuff. Obviously, if something comes up in the news, I'll do a video on it if it's related to what I've been saying, but I would just be repeating myself, and I don't like to do that, and I don't like to hear people repeat themselves, so I'm not going to force that onto anybody. Yeah, Jackie, my latest video is about money, and there's actually a couple I always do it. There's always something you miss out when you take your notes. And when I was talking about the Warburg family, how they used to be the Del Banco family, and they funded Hitler. I mean, they say they're Jewish. They claim to be Jewish, but if you were Jewish, why would you fund Hitler? The Rothschilds are the same. They backed Hitler as well. And actually, the Bank of England, which was quite a big part of the video, they even funded Hitler to a degree. So, along with the Bushes and the Rockefellers in America. So, what people don't know, it's just unbelievable. So, I mean, a lot of people are struggling for money just now. So, I like to try and keep it relevant. And it's important that people know that money is fresh air. I know a lot of people do know that, but they don't know why it's fresh air, and I hope that video cleared it up a bit. Hey, Patsy, how you doing? Yeah, Richard's saying it's same here. I don't want to keep saying the same things, and I'll report that here. Yeah, that's it, mate. You can't keep saying the same things because, I mean, there's a lot of people that just on YouTube, like they'll like I've said it before, they'll sit on a live stream for 3 hours every day in the morning. It's like, where do you find the time to do that? Like, it's not exactly setting an example, and they are largely just repeating themselves. So it's like, it's not for me. That it has to be relevant. It has to be worth doing, and sometimes you hit a bit of a block with content as well. I mean, that book that I mentioned in the latest video, I actually wanted to include that in the World War III video because I didn't really go into what the book was about, but other than the fact that it was a guy by the name of William Bramley, and he wanted to find out why there was so much war in the world, or there was always war, to see where it came from and how it starts. And he'd found out that it was actually connected to this brotherhood that I was talking about in the video. And it goes a little bit further. He goes into the archontic nature of it as well. So it's a really interesting book, and it's like I said in the video, it's over 80% accurate. So it's definitely worth reading. It's hard to get into reading sometimes, I know that, but Jackie's saying a lot of Scottish history got destroyed. Edinburgh, the first central bank's a museum now. Yeah, I can quite believe that because Scotland's it's a serious centre for the Brotherhood. That's why, like Freemasonry is the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Because apparently what happened was that's where, like the Knights Templar, they had they had gotten really, really quick, really, really rich, really, really quick. And the French King Philip V owed them money. So what he'd done was he sent a team out to arrest them on Friday the 13th of November. I can't remember the century. It was 1500 and something or something like that, or 13. I can't remember. 1314 it might have been actually. And they ended up leaving France and coming to Scotland and hiding. And then when they left Scotland, they went to America, which is why they were called the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. They just kind of changed their name a wee bit. And they actually helped. It was them that helped Robert the Bruce, who's actually he's for a Belgian bloodline, I think, to win the Battle of Bannockburn. That's how he managed to do it. And I mentioned, well, I didn't actually mention it in that video, but I think that's where George Martin's got his idea for like Game of Thrones. And in Game of Thrones, if any of you have watched it, you'll see something that's called the Battle of the Bastards and how the North win the war. And it's due to the fact that this group called the Knights of the Vale. So you can kind of see where he's gotten his idea from, because no one can understand how Scotland managed to win the Battle of Bannockburn, but that was why, because the Knights Templar helped them do it. Right, let's have a look at some comments. Total Nutters asking what the DWP performance measurement's about. I don't know, mate. You'll need to elaborate on that a wee bit, because I don't know if I've heard of it. Saying everyone's worried about PIP as well. Yeah, I mean, I know there'll be a lot of people that will be really, really worried about the changes that are coming, and it is concerning. There's no doubt about it, because, I mean, you're seeing it in the news all the time now, like Fit Note Britain, Sick Note Britain, and there is people out there that play on it to get a sick note so they don't need to go to the job centre. But you've got to remember as well, a lot of those people maybe are just finding it a bit tough and they just need a bit of time out. And there was one time you could do that and it wasn't a problem. You can actually do it yourself for 7 days. You can send yourself off for the first 7 days, but they just don't seem to take any notice of it, and it's reflected in the news that there's too many people doing it, and we need to get them off their bloody arses and get them back to work. And it's just there's less and less money about for people for reasons that I've explained. And obviously, I mean, Richard on his channel, he for the Dynamic Duo, Richard and Cara, they do some brilliant work, and it's like they show a lot of the side of the DWP on why it's as bad as what it is, and how they manage to save money by postponing bloody people's payments and dragging work capability assessments out. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And what they're doing now is, instead of giving people LCWRA, which has got the payment attached to it, they're giving people LCW, which now doesn't have the payment attached to it. It's only if you got it pre-2017. So the fact that they're even doing that in a time when inflation is rising, and then, as I've explained in that last video, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's like a big card trick almost, on how they've done it. I mean, when you think about what the Constitution in America says, how currency cannot be issued or has to be issued by Congress, it can't be done by state. It's done by districts. It's just so fly on how they do things, like, and they've done this for a very, very long time, like, and look at it now. People are really desperate. The desperation station, as I used to call it when I was in those situations, like, but what people are going through now is obviously contributing to their mental health, which means they have to then go for sick notes, because if they don't take any time out, that mental health problem that's been caused due to the stresses of the world tends to get worse. And the worse it gets, the more chance they're going to end up really bad on PIT, LCWRA, whatever, because they've been absolutely mentally and utterly mentally destroyed, which eventually poisons the body. I mean, that's not a philosophy. That's medically proven, like, that stress and fear poisons the body's cells and increases viral load more than anything else. So you imagine what people are going through when they're I mean, I know people that used to phone up and they would just get a letter and they wouldn't be able to read the letter. They'd be like, "Oh, can you read it for me?" Because they couldn't read it, because they would get such a pit in their stomach at reading it. And it would just be something to say, I don't know, that they've got their LCW or LCWA or something like that. And it's unbelievable what it does to people. I will do, Richard. Yeah, also there's something I want to talk to you about. It's just something to do with YouTube. Like, it's something I don't quite understand some of it. Like, so I just want to get some advice off you if you had it. But I'll clear it up on the call when I give you a text, mate. I'll see what day. It'll maybe be Saturday or Sunday. Hey, Botanic Magic, how you doing? Yeah, and KB's saying that the left are now kicking off about Hadrian's Wall and Stonehenge. This world's gone insane. Yes, it certainly has. How? What is it that's happened with that? If you don't mind me asking, I've not heard anything about it. The witness is asking if the pit changes will apply in Scotland. Well, I don't know, but I would imagine it probably will. I mean, if it isn't exactly the same, Scotland will adopt something similar. There's absolutely no two ways about that. I'm certain of it. David French, how you doing, mate? Is asking if I can give him any help to get a mandatory reconsideration for LCWRA from LCW award. Well, what you need to do, David, is just, I mean, have you put the mandatory reconsideration in? Have you requested it through your journal? Because my understanding of it is that they're actually starting to respond to journal messages a lot more now. So, you can call up as well. But if you haven't done so already, you need to request a mandatory reconsideration. And then if you're obviously still unhappy and it doesn't go your way, you need to go through tribunal. And it's probably quite important for me to mention. I mean, I get a lot of people contacting me, as you can imagine, and obviously I really want to help. And sometimes it's very difficult because I've not got the same access to this. Well, I've not got any access to it. See, there's a few people I've had to inform of this over the last week or so, that because I've not got access to the whole system and everything that's gone through and where you've been and because you can see absolutely everything that's happened on your account for the whole time that you've had it. So it gives you a better understanding, a better perspective of where you're at with it, so you can advise better. But because I've not got access to that, it's difficult for me to advise people on what the status is, on whether they owe something or what the deduction is. And it is very difficult. Of course, you can send screenshots, but even that's sort of limited. So, like I say, David, if you've not already done so, you need to request the mandatory reconsideration. And if you're unhappy when that's obviously closed, you go through tribunal. I mean, if you feel that you're being unfairly treated, you can take it to the complaints as well, and that can obviously be looked at with an independent case examiner if you feel it's not being done correctly. Obviously, once the complaint's been closed down, if you're still not happy, so that is the process that people will need to follow. Beyond that, there isn't really a lot you can do other than to fight it and to keep on going. Total Nutter saying he's had a letter from DWP saying to expect a 1 hour phone call from performance measurement team to check I was getting the correct amount. Yeah, all right, okay. So I have heard of these calls where people are ensuring they're getting the correct amount of money. I mean, I do wonder. I sometimes wonder about that. Like, obviously, people aren't getting the correct amount a lot of the time. So, yeah, I mean, you'll just have to go through it, mate, and see what they say to you. But I would imagine it'll be to ensure that you're getting your correct entitlement, if that's what they're saying to you. So if you do see any deductions or anything on your account that you're not sure of, you can certainly bring that up to them. Thanks, Richard. Nice one, mate. Take it easy, pal. Thank you. Yeah, he's a great guy, Richard. I'm glad to have made his acquaintance. John Pierce, more people who took the job are now going on to LCW pit, etc. They have told 30 billion off the total. Yes, absolutely, John. Well said, mate. And that is a big, massive part of why people are having to get these sick notes and to go on to these health journeys, as they call them, because they've gone for the advice of the state, that the state assured them that they had their best interests at heart. A lot of people were sceptical of it, and others said that it was just a blatant lie, which it obviously turned out to be for a lot of people. And now they need the state's help to recover from that, to obviously get through, so that they can get through their illness as best they can and pay their bills while they're doing it. And yet we're having this bloody narrative of fit note Britain and get people back to work. What, when you've poisoned their bodies for life? Nah, mate, it's just something has to. It's hard to say where. I know everything that's going on. It just seems like every day gets worse. Every time you watch the news, there's something about immigration on there and everything blowing up, and it's due to go. They're just so desperate to try and trigger a conflict, and they're not just trying to conflict between countries. They're doing it with people, conflicting with them. People are conflicting with themselves. They're at war with themselves, and some people just haven't got the fight or the energy for it. And I wish I could help everybody and take all their problems away. It's very, very difficult because people think that all I can really give is advice on it. I'm not a magician that can just click my fingers and change everything. I wish I could. It is going to take a lot of work, and because people have been rendered, well, they've had their health undermined because of what I think it was John that brought it up, and it's so sad. And now they're struggling to get the entitlement that they deserve because of if the people have got health conditions. How you doing, Crick? I hope you're well, pal. Thank you, Botanic Magic. It's really nice of you. Yeah, absolutely. And I was just saying that before. Botanic Magic saying that we need to start and learn about the system and how much of a Ponzi scheme it actually is, and that's why I done the video. Hiya, Sebastian. Sebastian asking, do we really have to attend? Well, yeah, Sebastian brings up a good question, asking if he needs to really attend a job centre and provide bank statements. Well, my understanding of it is that they are now asking people to do that sort of thing. I was informed by a former colleague that it's going to be mandatory from 2025 onwards. So I'd like to think that there'll be some movement started or something against, because it's so invasive. It's basically calling people liars and saying, well, we're checking your bank statements whether you want it or not. And I think it's very personal information that's on bank statements. I'm sure you'll all agree. So what right have they got to look at that? What, because they're the state and they think because you've signed some agreement with commitments that they can then snoop in your life, and it's despicable. Like LH is asking what type of work I'm looking to get back into. Well, I'm not really sure. I was aware of renewing my CSCS card because I do enjoy the construction industry, and there was a few years back I did used to enjoy doing like small contracts that paid quite good money, and then you could have the time off and you didn't need to go anywhere near universal credit. So I did enjoy it, but I'm looking at affiliate marketing and stuff like that just now. I mean, speaking with a company, they've just sent me a product. It's actually that Shylight stuff that I done the video on. I had the wrong product. One of the representatives had got in contact with me to say she'd watched the video and that it was actually the wrong product. So they're slipped off there. So they were kind enough to send me the right one, and so it should be here this week sometime. So I will have to do another video on that. But yeah, so it'll be things along that type of nature. I mean, I would like to do some type of customer service as well, because I do still enjoy doing a little bit of work. It is, I mean, I do enjoy the sort of buzz that you get from it. I'm not looking to be putting in any 40 hours or anything like that because I've got so much going on, but I would like to do a wee bit extra. We'll see what happens, though. It's not an urgent thing. Plotting and Escapes asking, what do you reckon about AI about to create untold levels of employment within the next decade? Well, it's very, very concerning. And every time I'm in a supermarket and I'm standing in the queue to pay for my items, because it's usually only a couple of things I've got, I'll usually get approached by a sales assistant or a manager to say, well, actually, you can use the self-service over there. And every single time I say that to them, and I often get sales assistants saying it to me as well, oh, you can use the self-service so they don't need to do it. And I say to them, look, the more I use that, the more chance you're going to be out of a job. And they say, well, that's a good point. And so it's concerning. And the fact that they can do absolutely everything. They're putting them into. They're starting to put them into fast food stores and stuff like that. Although I did see something quite funny the other week there. I don't know if it's true or not, though, that they'd put a robot into an Amazon warehouse and it collapsed after doing a shift because it was over. But I don't know if it's true or not. Like, I mean, I did see the video, but it wouldn't surprise me if that did happen. So it is very concerning. So we need to try and limit our reliance on AI, and it's just like anything in life, it needs to be balanced out, and we need to use this technology for the people that need it most and not for everyone, because everyone doesn't need it. And when they start telling you you can put chips into yourself and become superhuman and learn anything you want, you don't need to put a chip into yourself to do that. You can achieve your dreams without that. And anyway, it wouldn't achieve your dreams anyway, because you would just become a slave to it. So I would absolutely, I would encourage people not to use even their phone as much. Even when I'm sitting on like buses, or I was like I was in Glasgow subway there a few weeks ago there, and it made me think. I was sitting down like and seen everyone in the carriage. They were all on their phones, or the vast majority of them were, and it's people just can't put them away. It's like just sit and wonder, even if it's just a few minute ride on a bloody subway or a 20-minute bus ride, just sit and look at the window and wonder. I mean, what happened to that? I don't understand why people need. I see people all the bloody time, and they're either taking their phone out of their pocket, reading it, or putting it back in. It's an addiction, and I mean, I've been caught with it myself. I've been bad for it myself at times, but you need to be conscious of it and try. And that's why I like reading, because reading brings the screen time down. It really does pass the time. Or playing the guitar does as well. It's mad how much time passes when you do these things. So that would be my advice to anyone that's looking to use AI to better themselves. It's unless you're obviously paralysed and it can help you move limbs and stuff again by sending Bluetooth and signals using the electrical system in the body. If you're able-bodied and healthy and sound of the mind, etc., I don't think you should be considering it. And then you get people that have got wearables like the Apple Watch. My brother's got one, and scanning. The next stage of that's inside, like, and that's not for me. Like, definitely not. Hi, Paul. How you doing? Paul saying his work coach is trying to get him on a work and health course. She says it's 15 months. They say it's 12. A work and health course. I'm not sure I've heard of that, Paul. You maybe need to elaborate a wee bit on that, because I'm not sure I heard that terminology while I was still there. Is it Miss Silla? Sorry. How you doing? Miss Silla's asking if would I do a live explaining the move over to universal credit from ESA to income support tax credits? So what to expect? Well, I've actually covered a lot of that in some videos, Miss Silla, but I'll just briefly explain it just now. So from what I could tell from people I'd spoken to at the time that were migrating while I was still doing the job, a lot of the ladies, is it child tax credits or just working tax credits? Sorry. Well, I mean, if you're looking to get your child care verified, I don't like to scare people, but I need to tell the truth. My understanding on those sorts of things, it was very, very easy for people because it was all done for them. It's not like that in universal credit now. There is some parts of the country where I'm sure it goes smoothly, but there is some parts where it doesn't. And I've seen people having to lose jobs because their kids have lost places in nurseries because they couldn't get their cost verified in time. And the thing about universal credit, Miss Silla, is that it's a very different benefit to what you're going to be used to. And like I say, I don't want to scare you or anything like that. And but it isn't a good system. It's totally different. It's the help you get is not great. There can be deductions on your account that you're not privy to and you don't know what they are. But sometimes, like I say, it depends where you are in the country, because some people don't deal with it as bad. But I would encourage you to watch my DWP videos, and I'm sure you'll get the answers that you're looking for. So yeah. Yeah, I know, Mo. Health journeys, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous. I thought that the first time I heard that term. And it's a lovely journey, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's a nightmare journey for a lot of the people that go through it, and it can last years. Yeah, you've just M3D 18 or I807s replied to Miss Silla saying they need some info on the same thing on the switch over from tax credits to income support, or from tax credits and income support and things like that to universal credit. And it's difficult for me to advise again, but what I would say is that keep an eye on your account. It's the best thing you could. I used to advise people to log in every day if they could and look at your to-do list and ensure that you're up to date with everything, because they can slide things in there. And just ensure that you stick to your appointments and keep on going along to the commitments, and you'll get on just fine. But like I say, you'll need to go back and watch some of the videos for things to look out for. I don't like to scare people, but I'm not going to lie either. It really is it can be a terrible system at times. But you can obviously become knowledgeable, and that can expel the fear of it a little bit. So that's what I would recommend. Yeah. Saying if I start issuing fit notes instead of GPs, it will be carnage, absolutely. But carnage is what they want. They want as much carnage, stress, fear, worry, and anger as possible because that's what serves them. Um, it's a total mess. And I was watching. I don't know if any of you have heard the All or Nothing podcast with Billy Moore. He's a guy for Liverpool. I often wish his videos were a wee bit longer because I quite like the things that he does, and he sort of goes around sort of places. I seen him going. There was one he was been in a place in Barrow called Edgerton Court, I think it's called, and I mean you look at that place and it looks like it was built in the Victorian times, and it looks like something. Oh, it does. It looks like something out of a dark film, like, and I couldn't believe a place like that still existed in the UK in 2024, but it does. And there's many others like it, or maybe not quite as bad, but are certainly like it. And it's a real shame that people are left to sort of live like that. It is absolutely despicable, in fact. And I've gone into this at length in like some of my videos regarding the war budget that I've got a serious swollen problem with. When you look at some of the way people are living, and no one deserves that. People are drug habits, and I've been there myself. I know what it's like, and it's obviously because it's not going well around you, and you need nice things to look at, and if you've not, it's what it does for the subconscious is just not bloody good because it brings the mood down. And these people at the highest levels, they know that. They know that. They would love for the Victorian times to come back because that's what would serve them most. And as I've explained quite a few times, I've had many conversations where people feel like that's exactly where they're at, just having enough to live and no more. I mean, it was on the news a couple of weeks ago that 50% of working parents are skint. I mean, and the vast majority of them will be on universal credit. A lot of them will be, and I'd hate people that say in like comments that will get them back to work. That's so ignorant because it's like, well, a lot of them are working. So you're obviously people that say that are obviously in a lucky position where they don't need to worry about it. And actually, when I say about that, there's a lot of selfishness in the world as well, where people are happy to see people down, and I don't like that. Like I don't like when people get joy from that kind of thing. It really bugs me, like because there's no need for it. We need to sort of stick together, but you get a lot of selfish people, and it actually puts in mind this was one of the things when I'd mentioned in one of the videos the other week there about some of the worst calls I'd had as an agent, and one of the ones that I'd had was it was a couple. Can't remember where they were from. It was one of the first calls I'd taken. It was during Christmas, and this is related to selfishness. The husband had just left his job and got paid off, and he got quite a substantial amount of money, and his wife was on the phone to me because they didn't receive their universal credit payment because they were told by somebody that they were entitled to apply for universal credit, which they did, and they were granted it. But because the last wage was reported and it was reported correctly on this occasion, they had thought they were going to get that under universal credit with all their rent paid. And they were on the phone, and I just knew she was looking up at the ceiling and crying. I could just tell that's what the state she was in, and they were shouting and screaming at me. And the husband came on, and the venom that came out their mouth because they didn't have their payment there. At first, as if it was my fault, but it wasn't like they didn't have anything. They had a lot of money. It was thousands of pounds. And it was just like, I remember saying, it's like, look, I'm not being cheeky or anything, but I know people that have got 10% of what you've won. In fact, it was around about the same time the guy got all those wages reported that he didn't receive at Christmas. And I don't know how he got his money. Well, didn't get his money. I don't know how he got through Christmas. And it was round about the same time when I'd spoken to that guy, and it made me feel really uncomfortable that these two people that had all this money to have a great Christmas, and the venom that came out their mouth was just utterly despicable. And I'd thought about that guy who had nothing, and it's just all that needs to change. We need to stop all that nonsense, like where it's all about me, 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 me. It's amazing what a small kindness can do in somebody's life. say this, me and my brother talk about this all the time. Even just the smallest of things, like helping somebody with their shopping or something like that, or helping somebody that's in need that you see walking. It's amazing what those small kindnesses do, even for the person, obviously for the person that you do it for, but for yourself as well. It gives off the correct chemicals for the brain, and that can only be good for you. So it's really sad when people just think about themselves and want everything. I'm all right. See, as long as I can have my dinner, put the heating on if I need to, have the lights, a decent pair of trainers, and some decent clothes, and as long as I can buy like maybe a new guitar every now and again, I'm pretty happy with that. I don't really need much more than that, to be quite frank with you. And it'd be nice to maybe save up a little bit, and that's me. I don't get where all this greed comes from to want everything. I've never understood it. Like, I've never got it. I've absolutely never got it. It's just, and it still baffles me to this day. Obviously, when you're young and that, you look at it and it's all about having millions of pounds because you see footballers and stuff like that. But it ruins a lot of people. It ruins people's lives. It's all about balance, man. It's to only taking what you need. That's what we should be doing. And if we do that, and if we do get more than we need, if you think to yourself, well, I'm going to be 51% service to others, and you start sort of helping people with the extra that you've got, it's amazing what it does, because it lifts them up, and then they go on and help other people. And we've just been pitted against each other for far too long, and money's been a massive tool in doing that. And when you look at how they've accumulated wealth, I mean, when you think about the Bank of England, the first year they weren't even taking the principal back, only the interest payments, and they still made £28,000 of gold and silver. Is utterly ridiculous. It really is, and it wasn't even theirs. And that's happened all over the world with the black nobility. They're just parasitical. That's what they are in nature. Mo's saying try and use cash as much as possible, and then there's nothing. Exactly, mate. That's it. Definitely. And I'm actually quite guilty of that. I mean, I do try and use it when I remember, but and you actually spend more when you don't use cash, I've noticed, because you just think to yourself when you do the contactless, it's only £3, or it's only £7, or it's only £8, but you forget the other 40 or 50 times that you've done it. So to take, at least when you take a tenner out and you buy something at £3 or £4, you know, and then you buy something else at maybe £4 or £5 or £6, you know what you've spent. You know you've spent that tenner, whereas you're not keeping track of it when you're just touching a card all the time. Like, so absolutely, and I need to adopt that as well. More, I need to start using cash a hell of a lot more. Phobel One saying she's not sending DWP bank statements, it's private. Absolutely, and that's I would agree with that. And at least if everyone was to sort of stand up and say no, it's and write to their MP about it as well, and bring it into the conversation that this is invasive and it goes against it goes against privacy. It's not that, and people see people that say that, oh well, I'm not bothered about privacy because I've not got anything to hide. It's the same as someone saying, well, I don't care about free speech because I've not got anything to say. It's ridiculous. It's not about if you've got anything to hide or not. It's about consenting to giving up your rights. And we need to remember that we're sovereign and that these people have got no right to look in on us. And they need to stop thinking that they have. But when people just say, well, I don't really care. I'm not doing anything wrong, so that's fine. It's not the point. There's other people that aren't as comfortable with it. Yeah, Michael, how you doing, mate? Is saying that how obvious is this charade? It's pure scunner, pal. Absolutely, it is, mate. It's just it's a Ponzi scheme. Call it what it is. Fly like a bird saying universal credit's going to break people down into mental health. The earnings gone up again. Tories made 0 hours and increased the national wage. Well, I mean, I hear this all the time as well. I'm not saying you're saying this, like, but a lot of people like to blame the Tories, and I mean, they're not very nice. The Tories, it's nice we all love to hate them, like most of us do anyway. But it's not them. It's really not, because I say this all the time as well, and I sat and had a conversation with a guy, and I was trying to explain to him that it doesn't matter what one of them vote for because it's the same people that control them all, and I've explained why that's the case. And this guy kept saying to me, "Yeah, but you need to vote for them, or they'll get in." And it was like, "But you're not listening here, mate. It doesn't matter because the same people that you're saying that I need to vote for are controlled by the same people that you're opposing. So it doesn't matter. But they do this differently. Aye, they do. Of course they do, because they need to give off the illusion that it's different, but it isn't. And this is the thing. I mean, what would happen, right, if absolutely not one person voted in any election in the UK? I wonder what would happen. I would love to know what their plan would be for that. The arse would fall out their trousers. Like, I mean, we've had our trousers pulled down and our bums scalped. Like, we really have. And it's time to get the Sudocrem on and start pulling the pants back up and getting to work, because too many people are just sitting back, and it's like it's passing them by. They're just letting it happen. They refuse to look at the events of the day and to say, no, well, I'm going to change my mind here and I'm going to try and do something better, not just for myself, but for the world. And once we do that, I mean, I keep on saying it, it'll change. It will change. It takes effort, but nothing that's worthwhile is ever easy. It really isn't. Because if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. But everybody's got the potential to change it, because it's us that's created this, whether we like it or not. X no censorships asking what's DWP video calls non-pip related. Is that kosher? I'm not sure, mate. How do you mean DWP video calls? Like what department? Like Universal Credit? You mean? Patsy's saying that she'd rather be aware of what's going on around her. I mean, that's the thing as well. Like, see, people, I honestly can't tell you how much shit I've had over the years. People getting really angry because I've said something alternative to what they believe, and they think that you're being cheeky and try to undermine them. And it's like, but I'm trying to help you. It happens all the time, and all. I get comments after doing a video, and people start commenting saying, "Oh, that's not true. This is actually what happened," and it's usually the official story they've given the version of. I thought you would have known that, and it's like, well, I did used to know that, but now I've realised that there's actually another story to it, which is why I've done this video. But people get annoyed because you've got a different opinion, right? And it's like, you shouldn't. If you're happy with your belief system and you're happy with what you've looked into, and you got a fair idea of what's happening around you, no information should really offend you. I mean, there'll be information that you'll agree with, there'll be information you disagree with, and there'll be information that you piss yourself laughing at. But it should never get you to the point where you're at. I mean, I'm not just talking about being like annoyed. I'm talking about to the point where veins are popping out and the face is red and the voice is properly raised, like screaming at me that I'm talking nonsense. I mean, and that has to stop. We need to stop doing that, because I mean, that's what a child would do when you think about it. There's a lot of people that do act like children. They just shun responsibility the way children do. It's nothing to do with me, mate. Nothing to do with me. Well, it is a wee bit. It's got something to do with you. It's got something to do with us all. Thank you very much, Jan. That's really nice. Oh, sorry, the witness 46. Sorry. Thank you very much, mate. That's really nice of you. I really appreciate that. LH is saying, I feel really sad for the young kids of today. What have they got to look forward to when this world is in such a mess? They're the future, but heaven help them. Do you know something, LH? I was shopping last Friday there, and I was thinking exactly the same thing when I looked around me. I thought, what is it like for kids of 18, 19 now? It must be absolute, not for everyone, but for people at our kind of level community, that when I was 18, 19, I had a great time. I really did. I know alcohol was a big part of that and all the rest of it, but the world just wasn't the way it was now. And you're right. I feel so bloody sorry for them. I really do. And it must be absolute drab becoming 18 now. It must not be the same, or even 21 and all the rest of it, because I mean, COVID took away a lot of that joy when they started bloody shutting everything down. Right, I better start getting down these comments. Yeah, I mean, there's Lucy Lowe saying, "How you doing?" She's hi, escapee slave. She's saying that working full time, you cannot even pay your rent. The system is failed, and that's it. There is people that are working full time and cannot pay their bloody rent. And an aspect of that is the greed that I've just spoken about there with greedy landlords. And I know some of it is because interest rates have gone up. But some of them just take the piss out of it because they think, well, it's the government that's paying it anyway, or most of it. And they can't pay it. They can't pay it, and that's why people who are working, who were paying a rent, especially in privately rented homes, they end up being advised, or these landlords do, by their agent that they take on, that, oh, you could actually get a lot more for that. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that happen to people, putting it up to what the local housing allowance is, and then people having to move out of their homes that they've lived in for 10 years. I've seen that happen quite a few times. Hi, Aunt Sally. How you doing? I hope you're well. Yeah, Aunt Sally's saying, or Sally's saying that job centre staff are poorly trained and overwhelmed at the moment. It's chaos, and that is another part of it. Even people that are decent, that are trying to do the right thing and trying to do their job correctly, will be overrun. Obviously, because of the immigration problem. We've spoken a lot about that on here, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. I mean, I've done that video on the Rwanda plan as well, and I just don't get that either. I don't understand. I'm like I say, well, maybe it is a deterrent, but it doesn't change the fact that people are still risking their lives in these dinghies to try and arrive in these shores. And these human rights groups have, I mean, I'm all for human rights groups. We need them. Of course we do. But when you are trying to get people into countries that aren't coming from war, countries that are in conflict, that are in war situations, then I just don't see how their human rights are being impeded upon. Like, I just don't understand that. Surely that if they're trying to come into a country illegally and it's coming from a country that's not got any problems or not got any war problems anyway, then surely there's nothing for the human rights to do. It's just a case, well, no, you can't be here because we're full. You need to go back. But these human rights groups are, because it'll not be the human rights groups. They've been got at by the networks with their bribes and the rest of it. So, and it's creating a huge problem, and people can't get in to see. The thing about it is, a lot of times when immigrants come here, they come in full families, and there's sometimes 5, 6, or 7. So they can put their money together and get maybe not better properties because they're living in with 6 and 7 people, but because of the benefits combined, they've got a better chance of sort of living together and having that housing. So this is why they're getting it a lot of the time. And I know there's a lot of rumours about they get these extra things and all these extra payments. I've never seen any evidence of that, like, but I'm not saying it's not true. Yeah, Phobel was saying that she would seriously consider leaving this country if she could sell her flat. And she loves England, but it's not the England we're born in. Absolutely, it's not. It's not the Scotland either, because they were looking to change that. They want the communities destabilised, and that's one way to do it. Yeah, Jamie Allen, how you doing, mate? He's saying good surroundings means good mental health. Absolutely, that's why you need to surround yourself with decent people as well. Andrew, how you doing, mate? Andrew's saying that AstraZeneca has fallen. How long before the others follow suit? And he's right. AstraZeneca has fallen, and they've had to admit their mistakes, along with a few others. I mean, it's explained I've explained in a couple of the videos. All protocol went out the window with regards to safety checks. I've had people say to me after like videos where I've said stuff like that, "Oh, I don't agree with you on COVID." It's like, well, you've not been paying attention then, mate. I don't need everyone to agree, but at this point, if you still think that that was natural and an accident and everything was done correctly, then I am very sorry, but you are not looking at the events of today. JMEs, family of four, two kids, one adult works 600 earnings PCM on UC. What happens if the adult that is not working doesn't go to the JC? Does all payments stop? Well, I mean, it would incur a kind of sanction, I would imagine. They can't touch any payments for kids, though. That they can't sanction the children's money. That's one thing I did get confirmed. See, the problem is a lot of this information is leaving me. Nah, you do need to stick to the commitment, so they're going to look for ways to sanction you. No censorship saying that they know work coaches who've given claimants money from their wallet direct whilst out smoking. They're genuine people, and the majority of work coaches know who are genuine. Well, that's actually amazing to hear. It's really, really nice to hear that. Most saying they are grade 2 listed buildings in Billymoore's Video and Barrow and Furnace, lovely old tenement flats. Yeah, absolutely, but it's the surroundings of them, though, isn't it? When you see it, it's that's what I'm saying. It could be such everywhere could be cleaned up, and the money that they blow on war alone and aid to Ukraine. I mean, imagine what they've sent to Ukraine. Imagine if they just spread that out through these communities in the UK, what it could have done for them more. But yeah, you're right. They are nice looking buildings. It's just the surroundings of them. So LH is asking if you could see a way out of this system the government have is imprisoned into. What are the main changes for the greater good for all us working class decent folk and folk who really rely on benefits? The main changes for the greater good for everyone. Well, I've said this so many times, but people need to start. The main change that needs to happen for the greater good, LH, is people need to start blank. And I start asking the big questions of who you are, where we are, and where are we going, or where do we want to go? We need to start taking responsibility for our own lives. I've said that many times as well. Anytime a problem comes along, if it's our problem, then it's our problem. We need to own it and try and deal with it. Same way a mistake. And there's so I mean, it sounds very simple, but there's so many people that don't want to do that, and I know loads of people that don't want to do that kind of thing. Everything's fine as long as everything's fine, but the minute something gets in that knocks that off, all hell breaks loose, and that we need to start managing that. And I used to be like that, and I still do get annoyed, but I'm getting much better at it because I've practiced managing the triggers. Um, it's a huge question. It really is. It's a massive question. There's a lot of working parts to that. We need to learn that what's behind the control of the world, first and foremost, because that's ultimately what's stopping us living decent lives. Because we're not privy to what's going on, because we don't. A lot of people don't care. They don't want to be bothered with it. They want to sit and watch the telly. Although that is changing. Like, there's nowhere near as many people that do that now. So, and then when we stop doing that and we start learning more, then that's what will change, because you'll wake up to the fact that we've been enslaved in a system that wasn't serving us and that was actually engineered by a group of people that didn't have our best interests at heart. I've said it before. If you can't change a game if you don't know the game's being played. So that's basically what I would say to that. Yeah, it is lack of empathy and the competition for titles and salaries is the way of the world. Sadly, it is like, I mean, there is far too many people that they just want to climb the ladder and they don't care who they step um, on the way up, and that's it's just devastating. Like, Yeah, Paul's saying that he's working and he's in college and his work coach is vile and still wants to sanction me the last 100. And yeah, and they can actually do that. They can just place sanctions on there as well. They can just send stuff to decision makers if they want. If you've missed an appointment, they're vile, mate. You're absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely, Mo. Yeah, Mo's responding saying you spend a lot less using cash. Yeah, you're right, mate, and I am definitely going to start doing it, like, because it really does take the piss, like, when you start just using your card all the time, and it's just too easy, isn't it? X no censorship's asking what if the DWP sold data to the customers and what they spend money on. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if they'd done that. I know there has been an issue. There's been I think it was Mum that mentioned it. Um, Something about a data issue within the DWP. Maybe that's what you're talking about. I'm not sure. Hey, Melody Don, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Fly like a bird saying some people love giving up their rights. Absolutely. I think one of the founding fathers it said, those who give up freedom for temporary security deserve neither and will lose both. Hey, Sam, how you doing, pal? Good to have you, mate. Always get dead dry when I'm doing these. I don't drink enough water. My lips start getting dry. It's horrible. All right, okay, Melanie, just saying the working health program helps you to find a job if you're out of work. The program, which is tailored to your needs, is designed to help you if you've been out of work. All right, okay, it sounds good on the face of it, but a lot of it does. Yeah, Sam, they do. The central banks do run the show. As I mentioned in that last video, there, it is Fort Knox, isn't it? That all the America's gold's supposed to be kept at. And as I said in it, there is people that's wanted video cameras in there to see if it's what's there, and they'll not do it. Like, but as I said as well, tungsten's got the same properties as gold. Sure, it's tungsten, and like I said, the Americans tried to. I think it was the Americans and the Chinese, or I can't remember but it was the Americans. They tried to rip off somebody with it, and they just covered it, gold plated it basically. Obviously, the country that they tried to do it to was wise. But yeah, I mean, the American economy would crash if that was revealed to be empty. That's the point, because, like I said, fiat money, it's not got no value. It's got no value to it. It's only got value because we believe it has. It is literally just a bit of paper. You cannot go into a bank and say, "Give me gold for the money that I have in the bank." It is no longer possible. I mean, I don't know how they would do it, but like I said in the video, I mean, surely could they not back a currency by? Would it not be good to back something that, well, precious metals are also obviously valuable, you can't eat them. So surely you could find something to back a currency with something that you could actually use that we need. It's just an extension of the. It's just was supposed to be an extension of the barter system, but they've completely and utterly raped and abused it. It's just absolutely. It needs to. People need to be aware of it, though. That's the thing. This is what I'm saying. It is a game, and people need to be aware of how it is played. I mean, you see all these economists on news shows and all the rest of it. They use all this fancy terminology and all these word salads and make it sound so complicated, and it usually puts people off. It's like, and because it used to put me off. It's like, well, I don't understand that. I must not be smart enough to understand what they're saying. But now it's just a blood of mumbo jumbo, because it's one of the simplest scams that's ever been played, and it's a house of cards that's due to fall. And the more people that wake up to the fact that their paper money is not worth it literally is not worth the paper it is printed on, then something obviously has to give in that, I think. Hi, Angie, how you doing? Good to have you. Jenny Martins, how you doing? Saying that she can't even answer her journal because it takes her at least 2 days to open it. Fear is a bummer. And listen, Jenny, you and there's thousands of people that are like that. I see the amount of calls I used to take where people even a lot of the time with phone claims, they have to do it, obviously, because they can't imagine it themselves. But even people that could log in, they would say, "Oh, I can't read it. Can you read it for me?" Because they'd be in fear of what it was, and it would be a lot of the time it would be nothing. But you think about what that's doing to people. I mean, I've said it before. I've had ladies that have not slept in 3 nights because they've been worried about getting a compensate or a payment for their work for a few grand, and it didn't make any difference to their account other than in the assessment period that they received it. And yet they'd spent 3 days not sleeping because they were that worried about it. Wee man Sham, how you doing? Thank you very much, mate. I'll keep it going as long as possible. How we doing, Freedom One? Good. Hope you're well, pal. Cheers, Scott. David's saying he's probably else DWRA is my illness. It's not all the time, but it's most of the time. There seems to be no procedure for this in DWP. Yeah, I mean, I kind of get. I don't want to obviously pry into your business, David, but I kind of get where you're coming from. Like, I'm a bit like that. I've noticed that I've ADHD. It is a load of nonsense as an illness. It just means I think you're just both sides of your brain are just more connected. So it means you're more connected. And I don't know if that's what you've got, like, but I've got some symptoms of that where sometimes I'm up and up and up. And then you get a period of time where you're down, like, and you just feel like you need to leave. It's like it's really, really strong where you're like, fuck, I need to leave this job. This is rubbish. So I don't know if that's what you've got, like, but I get where you're coming from, where you can be sort of up and down. And I don't want you to answer if that's what you've got or not. Obviously, it's confidential. Hey, Aiden, how you doing, pal? Good to have you, mate. Yeah, Phobia one's saying that they're going to stop people's benefits if they don't give bank statements, which that's what they will try and do because it's if you sign up to commitments. See, this is another thing though I was thinking about. If you look at the commitments and it said does it say in in fact the way they word it is that you will clear any assignments that show up on your to-do list to receive your universal credit payment. So that's just anything that they put on their to-do list. On your to-do list, rather, you need to clear that. So they would just put on your to-do list that you need to give them bank statements. And because you've signed up to the fact that they have given commitments and they don't define what those commitments are, one of the commitments is that you need to clear any assignments or tasks that pop up on your to-do list. And they decide whatever that can be by creating an agent to do. So something needs to be done with the wording of that. If something can be done with the wording of that, what commitments exactly are you talking about? Because for them to do that, if they would need to actually put it in there that one of the commitments is to look at bank statements. And it's just, thank you very much, Bob. That's really kind of you. Honestly, mate, thank you. Really, really nice. Saying you're a kind soul. Thank you, mate. But the Department of Woken Peasants have gone rouge. Governments don't care about us. We need to look after each other. Please keep up your good work, Alan. Thank you for an XUC man. Thank you very much, Bob. That was a good comment. I really appreciate that. Yeah. So what I was saying there was with it needs to be reworded on. I think the whole thing needs to be changed with regards to what the commitments are. It needs to be stated what the commitments are. And that should definitely not be a part of it. So we maybe need to get some lawyers to look at that to see what can be done to get it changed around. But the thing is, we're so far deep into this and we've relinquished control of this stuff for such a long time ago that we don't know where to start with it, me included. Yes, Sam, it is shit for the youth today. How you doing, Rock Salt? Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, how you doing, Jando? Once you're triggered by information and you're not thinking logically or you're thinking emotionally and common sense is gone, absolutely, because you're angry and you're in your R complex, which is the part of the brain that reacts and doesn't think, it just reacts. And then after we react, we get back into the neocortex where you say, well, that's the human part, where you say, right, I went over the top there and we regret it a lot of the time, most of the time. You're absolutely right. And we need to learn how that works as well, because that helped me. See, once I learned that was the part of the brain was the R complex I was in that deals with anger and jealousy and all the bad things. And then after it, when you calm down, you're in the human part. It's like, well, you need to try and get to the human part of your brain as quickly as possible and take 10 seconds before the reaction That's what I started doing, and then it does definitely help. It helps your health, man. It helps. It's good for the soul. Jamie's saying bullies stop money for not working enough hours. Yeah, they work coaches are despicable. How some of them sleep at night is honestly beyond me. I don't understand how some of them sleep at night because I couldn't if I was them. Lewis is saying, stop the SNP. We're all family. I'm English, but I'm from a Scottish family. Yeah, absolutely. The SNP are done, mate. I wouldn't worry about. I wouldn't be worrying about them. Like they've sealed their fate. Yeah, Patsy's saying she was working as a single parent when she was 18. And but there will still be many people that do that. But sadly, Patsy, people don't look. I don't think people are as strong. Young people are not as strong as what they were even when I was younger. And it has a lot to do with the technology we've spoken about, phones, people being buried in them and worried about likes and Facebook and what people are doing and pictures of holidays and all that nonsense. And then you've got what's on TV and Netflix, and then they've got the gaming aspect of it, and it's just created this perfect storm in young people's minds where it's completely blown them to the point where they have lost touch with reality. A lot of them, like it's scary. It's scary how many people you see walking through the streets holding their phone and typing on it. Like I say, when I'm sitting on transport or something, or sitting with talking to someone, don't bloody bring your phone out. And this is another thing as well, just on that. Anyone, when you go to sleep at night, switch your phone onto airplane mode to stop the frequencies going through while you're sleeping. And you'll sleep better, because I have since I've started doing it. And I'll start getting down some of these comments. Let's get us on to about an hour and 5 minutes. I've got a couple of emails to send tonight. See, that's why I've not been able to do these live streams as much, because there's been a lot of people calls that's running over, and then I've had quite a lot of emails to respond to this week. Like I say, I've had personal matters that's taken up quite a lot of my time as well, looking at stuff. So it's just not been practical to be doing them. But I will try and do these live streams a bit more often, try and get them weekly. It's just like I said earlier, it's sometimes you don't know you need to kind of have a topic to kick things off, like. And luckily I'd forgotten a couple of things in my last video that I could kind of start with. Let's see. Yeah, Rock. So have a good night as well. I will be shutting this down just in the next few minutes. I'm just going to get down through these last comments just to make sure no one's asked any questions. Stephen Morrison, how you doing, mate? Saying the main change people can make for the greater good is to create small communities of like-minded people and grow the. That is it. It does. It starts at a local communal level. I would agree with that 100%. People, you need to get together in your local communities with like-minded people, and I don't know how many there is here. But even if it's just a few years, that's how we need to start things off. Thank you very much, mate. It's really nice of you again. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so it's just that's what does need to happen. It's just getting together on a small level, and then it grows from there. Because once you even start on this, I mean, I've done it on my own when all my family was against me, and no one, like, just looking at different information, and they were against it for years. But yet, when they start to see things change, when they see your life change, and you lose weight, and you get better, you get more articulate, you start learning new things, they think, well, that's working. It's the same with these small communities. If people can get happy in these smaller communities, start building from there, more and more people will look across the fence and say, well, that's actually really good. That I want to be a part of that. And then that's it. Once that starts happening, like that video I posted, the link that I posted about with Michael Tellinger, the Sumerian origins of money, something along the lines of that. Go back to the money system just being an extension of barter and don't have any bloody interest payments or bring any of that crap into it. And I think we would get on a hell of a lot better. And eventually, money would become less and less relevant as time went on. Freedom saying self education is key. Anything, it doesn't matter what it is, whatever interests you, start learning it. I don't care if you think people are going to think it's stupid. Who cares? It's nothing to do with them. Hi, Luke. Very welcome here, mate. Thank you very much for saying that. That's really nice of you. I really appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Angie. That's really nice of you. Honestly, see when people say things like some of the kind words and that you get, and like when I've explained it in a few interviews and that, like when it first started happening, I was sweating all the time, like because I wasn't used to it. I wasn't used to that type of thing. Because people's never seen me that before. I was always seen as different and silly and against the grain. So it's really nice to hear that. Thank you. That's really nice. Zekel 1980 saying the DWP have kept me waiting on a claim since October. I've had no money since then. So sorry, mate. I've got an email address. It's in my channel description. If you want to give me an email, if you want, and you can let me know what's happening with it, and I'll see if I can give you some advice, mate. Because that's not good. I've seen that quite a lot. It is a joke. So if you want to get in contact, you're welcome to. Yeah, Patsy's saying, Chuck, you're changing the bottle back in the day. It's right, because I know a guy that does that, and every year it covers his Christmas presents. He still does it. Right, I'd still need some more details on that, Zeko. If you want to get in contact with me, mate, and that's fine. Like I say, I'll need some more details though. Peculiar person saying the microphone looks like a giant vape. It does actually. I never thought of it like that. You're welcome, Jamie. Yeah, Freedom saying playing out the Bible. Yeah, they would love it. They would love to play out the Book of Revelation because it's total war. We need to stop that because it's us that fight it in the end. Like Botanic Magic saying Bill Gates' his fingers in agriculture. He's got more than fingers in it. He's got his whole body in it because he owns most of the farmland in America now, is my understanding. And we have to question why a computer mogul wants to own farmland. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. I'll do my best to keep on chopping. Oh, nice one, Scott saying he's sat in a balcony in Spain. Nice one, mate. I hope you're having a great time. Hope you enjoy. Angie saying she's 56 on the 17th. Well, many happy returns, Angie. My friend's 40 on the 16th. And it is just, Michael, it is, you're right, mate. It's just a number. It's all about how you think. Thank you very much, Paul. That's really nice of you. Right, okay, people. So I'm going to get this wrapped up as now because there's a fly or a wasp or something in there and it's absolutely driving me mad. So I'm going to get rid of it. If there's a place in hell for people that kill flies and wasps, I'm definitely there. Right, okay. Thanks very much to everybody that joined and thanks for the donations. Honestly, I really appreciate it. It makes me speechless when people do it, even still. So thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed the live stream. The next video, I'm not sure when it'll be. I'll see if maybe I get one in tomorrow. It'll probably be Monday though. So thanks again, everyone. And I hope you honestly look after yourselves and take care and enjoy the rest of your evening and your weekend, okay? It's been a real pleasure speaking to you all again, as it always is. Thank you. Take care.